Good morning guys and welcome to another video. I'm in one of my favorite spots, Dead End. I don't know if you could see it, but I'm sure you could hear it. There it is. Sangse Airport is right around the corner. And once you're here during the day, you're going to see planes landing. And I like coming down here to talk to you guys so you can see the scenery behind me. You know, in these, let me say, we're in dead end, so these dead end conversations we could have every now and then. What do you think? Maybe I can make it a series. Today I want to go over names that have been called in Jamaica. So there are times people don't know me and they want to get my attention or they want to speak to me and they'll call me something. Every now and then I find it's quite funny. And I want to reiterate, I find it funny. One or two of these people might think, I might think it's offensive, but it's not. Because I know when people call me certain things, they don't have bad intentions in their heart. They just want to speak to me or they just want to get my attention. So I understand fully, no bad intentions. It's according to the context. This is the one that really surprised me originally when I came. Early on when I came, like within the first week, someone looked at me and they wanted to get my attention and they said, "Coolie man." Now in Trinidad, yes, we use that term, but it is somewhat considered a derogatory term to call someone like myself of East Indian descent. So I was a bit taken aback. But then I realized here it's a more common term for Indians. Just a little history. That word, you know, the legend I've heard is when the British went to India, first people they met was these Indians that was carrying their goods off the train and they would take it on their head and walk with it. And those guys are called coolies. So therefore it's like a derogatory term because you're kind of looking down on someone. With a little more research I realized it might be a Tamil word, I'll put it up here, where it's derived from. And it means menial work or someone who does menial work. So in any case, it is like you're looking down. So in Trinidad, it is considered to be a somewhat offensive word. And believe it or not, the other famous one I get regularly, Chinaman. So someone will look at me and say, "Chinaman." And I always think to myself, do I look Chinese? I'm guessing I'm some sort of Asian. I heard it the first time and I think it's that person. I heard it another time, I'm thinking, maybe it's that person too. By the third and fourth, I realized it's somewhat common. Chinaman, especially little children, they would look at me and say, "Hey, Chinaman." And now we go into more kind of hilarious territory. I've only been called this a few times. The first time, I remember I was in Megamart and I had long hair. I have videos, if you go way back, years back in my channel, you would see videos of me with long hair. I'm talking about hair that flowed down. I used to have to hold it up in a ponytail, most of the time in a ponytail. But there were times like when I just washed it, I would leave it loose. And this one time I had my big beard, bigger than this mustache, and I had my hair loose. And when it gets to about here, when it's long, it starts to get curly. So long hair, big beard, I already look the way I look. I was walking in Megamat and I turned the corner and this Rasta man, he saw me and he got taken aback. He saw me and he was like, "Lion heart, man, lion heart." No, I found that so hilarious. You could tell he was surprised when he saw me. So apparently he found I look somewhat Christ-like with my long hair and my big beard, and he called me lion heart. I did all take that as a compliment. And the funny thing is, I've been called by other Rastas when I had my long hair and it's loose, lion heart also. They'll be like, "Yo, lion heart, lion heart." So, you know, I just found that so funny, especially that first interaction. On a more recent basis, recently people have been starting to call me renegade. I don't know where that one is, renegade. I don't know if it dates back to the show, but a few times I'll be walking about and someone will be like, "Renegade." But of course, the most common one I get is Indian, you know, Indian boy, Indian man. And I have to look around when someone says that. We also say that in Trinidad too, but it's the way they say it in Jamaica. You realize I can't speak Jamaican, all right? This Trini accent is hard to kind of shake for me. I'm sure you can still hear it, but there are planes taking off. A lot of noise. I had us to wait like about 10 minutes because planes kept taking off. And I still think there's planes waiting because I can still hear the buzzing. trying to think back of other things I've been called. I've been called Amazon. I've been called pretty hair. You know, they'll say, hey, pretty hair. You know, this is normal here to me. But you know, I'm talking about names and things I've been called, but it also kind of links back to the accent and certain words we use in certain countries. Although we're all Caribbean, we do have our differences. Like the word picnic. It's only when I moved to Jamaica I realized picnic means children. I hear it in dancehall all the time, never really paid attention to it. And there are certain words we use in Trinidad, like this concept of juta. Now I know when you hear juta in Trinidad, you're thinking all the juta bus and them, right? All the tourist bus. In Trinidad, it has a very specific context. It has a meaning. So the word juta, if I could sum it up, it doesn't really have one word, but I could sum it up with sharing food. Like if you put your mouth on something and then you give it to somebody else. In Trinidad, the person who you're giving it to will say, no, I don't want your juta. So it's like sharing spit kind of thing. And that's a thing in Trinidad, eh? You don't want to juta the food. You know, you say juta, everybody know what you're talking about in Trinidad. I just find that quite interesting, the different places, different words used. Sometimes, you know, the different accents, different way of saying things leads to some funny situations, other than just, you know, what they called me. I remember years and years ago, I was taking taxi. I think my car was by the mechanic. There are other people in the taxi going somewhere specific, and I needed to go to get to where I live. I needed to pay a little extra and tell the driver, hey, I'm going up this road. So I gave him the money, and then I said, hey, I'm going up into this road. And he said, all right, man, no problem. You're going foreign? And I kept saying, no, I'm not going to the airport. I'm going up this road, because I thought he was saying foreign. He said, no, man, you're going foreign? And for the love of me, this went on for about a good 40 seconds. It mightn't sound like a long time, but if you count it out, this back and forth. And this woman was in the back seat, laughing her head off, and she wouldn't help. And he kept saying, no, man, you're going foreign? And I kept saying, no, not foreign, I'm not to the airport, I'm going inside this road. Until the woman tapped me on the shoulder and said, son, he's saying far in. He wanted to know if you're going far in. But the way he's saying it, I could have sworn he was saying foreign. Farid. You know what I mean? Oh my God. Anyway, we all had a good laugh in the car, but it just shows you these hilarious situations that could happen. It's just a nice little short video on that end about different names I've been called and language and whatnot that I find interesting and hilarious. Anyway, guys, I always appreciate you guys watching. To all my new subscribers, please, I hope you could go back, watch all my videos. It's really, really good stuff. Well, I think it is. And it would really help the channel. Remember to like the video, remember to share this video around with your friends, and remember to subscribe. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.